Today's episode is going to be so fun. We're working with color, we're doing it on a Dollar Tree budget, and we're going to be doing some whimsical projects. I love springtime, I love color, I cannot wait to share these projects with all of you. So come along and let's make something beautiful for our homes. I found this darling sign at the Dollar Tree. They have some good signs this year. I'm going to take the sign and I'm going to take some twine and some of these carrots. The sign is super cute, but I really wanted to make it more whimsical and special. So I'm going to create different tiered layers of these twine strings coming down. I've got the longest in the middle, then moving out to the second spot on the right and the left, I've got the next length, it's a little bit shorter, and then on the end I have the shortest one. And that's because I'm going to make sure I balance the carrots and where they're lining up on the string. So the middle string is going to have 3 carrots. I have really tough fingers with heated things. Like I can work in my kitchen even without using a lot of pot holders when I'm picking up pots. Please use finger guards if that's too hot for you. But you can see here that I'm just going to put some glue on the back of a carrot. I find the side that's least appealing, and that's the side I glue to the string. The better side I want it to be towards the front. I let it cool for about a second, and then I just swipe off the extra glue, making sure that it's locking in to the twine and the carrot, and it's all nice one piece, so it's not going to just come off really easily over time. Once I've got that first one done, I'm going to lay it down and move on to the second row, which is on the right and the left of that middle row. And this one is going to have 2 carrots. Then I move on to the last, and it's going to have only 1 carrot. And you'll see here when I start to glue it to the back of the sign, the carrots are going to fall in between the void of each other. So that first row with the 3, the 2 in the next row over, will fall in the void where there's no carrots, and the same for the very end. I'm making sure that the carrots aren't going to collide when they're dangling down, but they're going to just be all of these carrots perfectly lined up. This part's pretty easy, I just take my time. And I'm going to glue them to the back, making sure they're glued on there nice and sturdy. We don't want anything coming off. You can see here that I'm just making sure, oh, I got to pull it down a little bit because I want it to fall into that void. And then I'm going to glue it. Once I've got all of those glued on, we want to make sure we clean up the back. Again, I like to have a nice backside. Friends, I say this all the time here because it really does make a difference when you have a nice cleaned back side of your projects that you're making. Again, if it's not your thing, no big deal, but Heidi likes to do this to all her projects. So I'm going to glue that last one, and then I'm going to come in with a piece of scrapbook paper. I didn't show it, by the way, but I'm going to cut off these extra pieces of twine that are too long, trim those down, and then I'm going to add on some glue with a piece of scrapbook paper that I'm going to use to lock it all together. It's also going to help the twine from coming off, and it just cleans up that backside look. You could put a piece of fabric. You could also end up just doing a whole big piece of scrapbook paper, whatever you want to finish the backside. To complete the look, we are going to add a bow because we need a bow on this. And then I like to layer these kind of signs on a wreath. Here's how it looks, layered with a wreath and these darling carrots dangling down. Wouldn't this be so adorable on a front door? Head to your local Dollar Tree and pick up one of these decor signs. I had this one from Christmas, but they have them all year round. I am going to be using some Dollar Tree black and white ribbon, some florals, and I did pick up these jumbo craft sticks from Walmart. That's where I get mine from. We're going to remove any stickers from the back just to make it look clean and polished. And now we're going to move on to our jumbo sticks. I'm going to start by just measuring the width of the box so I can cut down my craft sticks And I'm going to be using some scissors that I have dedicated to these craft sticks, popsicle sticks, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to cut that down where my pencil mark is, and then I'm going to cut more of them for the length of the box. Once I have everything all cut, I can then start to glue on the pieces, because we're going to make the front of this sign look like a shiplap sign, which is going to look so beautiful, so farmhouse and cute for spring. Go ahead and start gluing all of those pieces on. I like to do a wiggle line because I find that it really holds and locks on those pieces better versus just a straight line. And then for the top part, my box size is allowing the last stick to hang over ever so slightly. So I'm going to just use my pencil, create a cut line, take my time because these sticks can splinter a little bit. And I want to make that line as clean as possible. Once I have that cut off, I'm going to glue that last stick on into place, and then we're going to paint it whatever color you want. You could also stain it if that is your style and preference too. I'm going to go with white because I love white for the springtime. I'm going to cover the side as well, and you could even paint the back to really have a nice clean polished finished look. I'm going to just go around with 2 coats of paint because I like mine to be nice and crisp for this project. And then I'm going to get my heat gun out because it just speeds up the process of that. I love using a heat gun in my craft room, but remember, if you use one, keep it moving and don't let it sit for a long time. Now we're going to move on to our phrase. You could do this with a lot of different things. You can use a Cricut and using vinyl. You can use stickers, and you can hand paint. You could even use a black Sharpie marker if that works for you too. There are so many different ways to put a really pretty, nice phrase on a sign. It's up to you how you would like to do it. I happen to have some of these stickers, and Dollar Tree has some really great stickers. These particular stickers, I got them from Target a while ago, but I love them because they have a clear background so that I can put them on that and not have any issues. I've decided to go with "As I Have Loved You, Love One Another." It's a hymn song that we sing at our church, and I love this phrase. So I thought this would be really nice for the spring going into Easter season, and I can keep it up all year long because I am always promoting my family members to love one another. I added my little comma with a Sharpie marker. Once my phrase was all done, up at the top I decided to decorate it to really jazz it up. And you can see how I wish I had painted the back. So I'm going to recommend, if you remove the stickers, just paint the back. It makes it look so much cleaner. I didn't do it this day because I was in a rush to get this project done for you all, but I would definitely recommend painting it. Glue on this darling gingham bow, and I'm going to come in with some greenery and just sneak that right underneath the bow. You can see here that I'm playing around with it a little bit. The Dollar Tree has finally come out with a boxwood pick. This is the pick that I'm using. I just cut the pieces apart because I like to work with individual stems versus it being all clustered together and then you can't control the direction. So I always like to cut mine apart, and I'm just going to sneak that down into the glue underneath the bow, and I'm going to come in with some other greenery. I really find when I do greenery on projects, I like to bring in a couple of different types of greenery. It makes it look more natural, more real, something that you would see in a garden, because you wouldn't just only see one leaf in a garden. I'm going to show how I do my twine bow. I get asked about it a lot to slow down the process, so I'm going to do it today for you all in this video. I spread my 4 fingers open, and then I wrap around twine, starting with a long tail. I always have a long tail, and then I start wrapping around my fingers probably about 8, 9, 10 times. It depends on how thick I want the bow to be. Then I'm going to bring those tails. I'm going to wrap one tail one direction in the middle, and another tail the other direction in the middle, and then I'm going to simply just tie it, just a knot right in the middle, and then I fluff it all out, and it is the cutest, easiest farmhouse twine bow. Super fast, super quick to make. So you can see here I just tied it. I'm going to put that right in the center of that gingham bow. I just think layered bows, they make my heart happy. They make my eyes feel tickled with happiness. I don't know, whatever we want to say. But I love layering bows. And you can see here, I'm just putting them right one within another. And then those tails, I don't want them hanging in front of the sign. I feel like that's a little messy. So I'm going to just put a tiny dot of glue on the side of the sign. I'm going to glue those over to the side, and then it's a Heidi project. Let's put a button on it. We're going to top it off with this vintage button that a subscriber sent me a while ago that I've been saving it for a fun project. Today's the day. I found this large glass jar at the Dollar Tree. It's $5. Friends, let me tell you, I am so excited that they carry jars this size now. These things can be so expensive at all the other stores. You could get a coupon, or not a coupon, but an ad sale for Hobby Lobby when they do have them go on sale. But these things run $15 to $25, and that's ridiculous. They're selling it for $5 at the Dollar Tree. So I picked one up, and I picked up 3 bundles of rope. Now you're going to see here the sticker is like the worst to get off. This is my recommendation. I've been talking about it a lot this spring. Get a scraper. This scraper tool, I'll link it down below. It is seriously one of my new favorite tools in my craft room. I keep talking about it because I want everybody to have one. If I could send one out to everybody in the universe, I would. But, you know, that's like impossible. But anyway, you can see here that I was having a hard time getting it up. This is real time that I'm filming this. I'm going to use my water spray bottle. I spritz a little bit on the tag, and then I just keep rubbing it. All the gooiness comes off. These scrapers are the best. I think there's like 10 plastic blades that come in the kit. And then like if I've been using the same blade for almost 9 months, 10 months, something long. They're great. If it gets a little dull or it cracks, you just put on a new blade, and they're plastic blades so you don't get hurt when you're using it. Now I'm going to work with the rope. You can see that I cut the rope at an angle. I wanted it to be able to come across because we are going to make 4 X's around the jar. Have you seen a Darling cottage home where it has those window grids? And I forgot what that is called, but there are grids, little X windows, panes. I cannot remember. Y'all leave a comment down below and tell me what that's called. But I wanted to create that look on the side of this glass jar. We are going to be making a glass bucket vase with this rope. There is something so avant-garde, so to say, when you bring masculine and feminine together. So what I'm doing, I don't trust hot glue with glass, but we're going to get started with hot glue, and then we're going to reinforce with E6000 in a second. I went around creating 4 X's on my jar, and I'm really slowing down this project because I want to show you all when you rush with rope, you can make a lot of messy mistakes. I like to just take my time, and I'll put on some music, maybe even a show, and then I just take my time. I want to make sure I have as little glue going everywhere as possible, and it's really just to get the project started. Once I've got the 4 X's going all the way around the jar, I'm now going to bring in that E6000. I'm going to put a dollop on the rope where they come together, a dollop on the glass in between the X's, or I guess at the bottom of the X where it meets in the middle, and then on the other one. Then I'm going to come back in with some hot glue. And we are going to take the second rope, because the first rope was to make all the X's. We're going to take the second rope, and we're going to go nice and neat around the bottom. We're going to wrap around the jar 4 times. And I'm going to, again, take my time to show you all this. When I get to a joint where the rope is, I add the E6000, I add some glue with a hot glue, and then I just keep going around. Take your time doing this. It'll make the rope look so much cleaner. You just don't want to see hot glue squeezing out between the ropes or getting all over the glass. And it's glass. You could pick off hot glue if you need to. You can use a scraper tool for that. But I just like to just prevent having to do any of that. When you come all the way around, you're going to have to bump up ever so slightly. And you're wanting to have your rope come up and over the X's. This is going to lock everything in, and it's going to make it strong and sturdy where nothing is going to come falling apart. Now at this point, you don't need the E6000 anymore because the rope is already locked on that first row with the E6000. So now I'm just only using hot glue, and that's going to bond all together. Taking my time, going around everything, pushing down around the sides of the X's where it's a little bit more of that rope built up. When I get to the end of going around 3 times, I'm going to cut off the extra where I started. Every project has a backside, every project. So this is the backside of our jar vessel. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I end where I started, and then I'm going to clean that up. Now at this point, I decided to add one more so that the bottom of the glass jar was sitting on the rope and it was nice and even. So I'm going to come around with some extra from that first bundle of the X's. I had a little bit left over, so I'm going to go ahead and just wrap around that jar one last time, making sure it has a nice clean finish. You could completely wrap the bottom of the jar if you want to. I didn't do that because, I don't know, I just didn't. But it's up to you and your preference of what you want to do in your craft room. Now that I've got that all the way around, I'm going to cut that piece off. I feel like the bottom looks clean and tidy. That is always my goal here in my craft room, to teach tidy, clean projects. And now up at the top, this is where we're going to turn into a bucket, and it's going to look so adorable. Super cute, super whimsical. What is left over from bundles 1 and 2 of the rope, I'm going to cut 3 even pieces that are long, and I'm going to braid them into the handle of the bucket. I'm using E6000 and hot glue to start that project on the side of the bucket. And I'm going to use a large clamp to hold it down into place while everything dries. That way I can start braiding and I don't have to sit there waiting for the glue to dry forever. And I'm going to just do a very tight braid coming all the way down that rope. Once I've gotten all the way down and I've braided it to the length that I want, again, this depends on you. How long do you want to make the rope handle? You can make it really long, you can make it really short, it's up to you. But once I've gotten all the way down to the end, I'm going to cut off the end and make sure those are nice and clean. And then I'm going to use E6000 and hot glue again and clamp that onto the bucket, on the outside of the bucket, not the inside of the bucket. That way, so if you do use water with this, it's not going to cause any issues down the line with water getting on it because it's on the outside. Could you imagine? You could even do this project with white nautical rope. That could be so beautiful too. But I really love the masculine brown of this rope, so that's why I'm using this. Up at the top, we are now going to start working on wrapping our rope as well. You can see that I'm coming with my E6000 on the joints of the X's, and I'm coming at the middle point. Now, this is a very tricky area, and I'm going to again go real slow so I can show you all. I'm bringing in hot glue on the back side of the handle, and I'm going to come in between that E6000, and I'm going to use as cleanly as possible the hot glue, using little bits at a time, controlling it. You don't want to just goop this on. It's going to run straight down the sides of this bucket, and now you're going to have a problem because glue is going to be everywhere. So just use little dots as you go, making sure the glue is hot and it's bonding well. That E6000 is going to bond with the glass and the rope, and it's all going to lock in, and you're going to be able to pick this thing up by the handle by the time we're done with it. I mean, I wouldn't like put anything crazy heavy in it and pick it up with the handle, but I'm going to be using mine for florals because it's for spring decor. I could also end up putting a candle in it. That could be really cute. You could put a whole bunch of different things inside of this. All right, I'm now coming around the whole edge of the one side of the bucket, coming around the back side of the handle, and this is really to lock everything together because our next row of our rope is going to come around the front side of the handle. I'm going to show that in a second, but you can see that I'm just bringing around that hot glue and the rope, and I'm making sure everything is locking in very little as I go so it doesn't run down the sides. When I get all the way around to the other side of the handle, and again, friends, if you need to speed up through this because this is like common sense, you're going to get it and understand it, by all means, speed it up. But if you're a first-time crafter, I'm going slow for a reason. Once I've gotten back to the handle, I'm now going to start coming around the front side of the handle on the front side of the bucket. And now, because I've already used the E6000, I can go back to only using the hot glue. I'm going to wrap around that jar 3 times. And again, I'm going to show you, go slow so you guys can see. Make sure you keep that clip on. Don't take it off unless you have to get underneath it to put on a layer. And you're going to see as you're doing this project where the X's are, it's going to feel a little bit bulky. So you're going to just make sure you push down in little grooves and crevices where ropes can hit glass versus having to come up and over a piece. Smush things in well, pinch them down, make sure everything lays as flat as you possibly can get it. When I get to the side that I started at, I'm going to stop there. So you can see here, I cut it off, I stuck it in place, and now, whew, I know that was a project, but this was a very therapeutic, calming project, and sometimes it's nice to not speed through projects. I'm now going to come in with these little rocks that you can get in the floral section, and I'm going to fill the bucket with tulips, colorful, bright tulips. Again, we've got the masculine with the rope and the softness of the colors and the glass. It's such a beautiful, fun project that I promise you, you will keep this for years, and you can switch out your florals as much as you want and keep it year round. If the brown rope's not your thing, try out the white nautical rope. It could be beautiful with that as well. Thank you all for stopping in and visiting with me here in my craft room for these 3 projects today. I hope that they inspire you all to get into your craft room and to make something beautiful for your home. Please do give this video a thumbs up, and I would like to invite you, if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love to have you join me here on my channel, just because it's fun to craft with friends and share ideas, and I do love being able to see your ideas, especially when you chime in with a couple of ideas that are so smart that I didn't even think of trying. I learned from you all too. I'm going to recommend this video if you missed it from the other day. And until the next episode, bye friends.